Right, the second way that somebody can get out of a contract or a contract could be deemed defective would be through a mistake. Now we have two types of mistakes. A unilateral mistake is when there's an error made by only one party of the contract. Okay? Typically, a unilateral mistake is not going to allow the contract to be voided. Okay? Just because one person made a mistake in the contract isn't enough for them to get out of that contract. Okay, the example here is if you're buying a DVD online, okay, but you already own that DVD, okay, the DVD arrives in the mail, you open it up, and then a week later you realize you already had a copy of that DVD. Okay, that was your own mistake. It's not the fault of the seller, okay, that you bought something that you already owned, okay. That is not going to allow you to get out of that contract, okay. You made the mistake on your own. That's your fault. You have to live with the consequences of it, okay. And the reason for this is we want to make sure that people are being careful when they're entering into contracts, okay. So read what you're agreeing to carefully before you actually say yes to it. Okay, now that a unilateral mistake is different than a bilateral mistake. So a bilateral mistake is when there's an error made on both parties, okay, of a contract. Okay, both parties have made an error here. Usually either party can get out of these contracts, okay? So this really is called a mutual mistake. We both made a mistake, and because of that, where either one of us is allowed to get out of the contract. Okay, the example that I have here is, say that there's a band, your favorite band is planning on coming to town. Okay, you go to a local ticket dealer and you say to them, I want to get front row seats whenever they go on sale. Be the first one to call me. Okay, so you formed an agreement, right? They're going to call you to sell you the tickets. In exchange, you're going to give them money and for the tickets. Okay, so that's a contract or an agreement. However, the band never comes. Okay, the band decides that they're not going to go on tour or they're not going to go to the venue that you thought they were going to. Okay, that's a mutual mistake. Both parties, both you and the ticket dealer, thought that this band was going to go on tour, but it turns out that they're not. Okay, that would allow either of you to get out of this contract because it is a mutual mistake. Both of you made an error when forming this agreement. Okay, so unilateral mistakes typically you cannot get out of. Bilateral mistakes you typically can get out of.